All right. Welcome to Why Am I Knicks Fan? I'm comedian Miller Mark. And my guest today is Ben Frank. All right, I already messed up the beginning, but my guest today is Ben Frank. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. I always stumble on the opener. I'm getting worse and worse with each episode.
Yeah, practice makes imperfect. That's what they
exactly.
So they always say.
Yeah, let me see. My first question always is, are you a Knicks fan?
No, I'm not a Knicks
Oh,
fan.
God. All right. End this show right now.
We're done. We're done. Cut it. Cut everything.
Who are you a fan of?
I'm a Celtics fan.
Oh, God, this is even worse.
This is even worse. Okay. Now you really regret bringing me on.
Yeah,
This is a terrible decision by you.
Yeah, because I purposely told him I didn't want to know if he was a Knicks fan because I truly didn't know, and this is horrible.
Yeah, you're like, now maybe I need to do my research a little bit with future guests. Figure this out.
100%. Like, because Mitchell Robinson's, I'll get to that, but you threw me off with that. I'm flustered now.
Yeah, you're like, the whole script just went out the window.
All right, so after that, I'll say, all right, it's time to put on your knickers and talk some comedy and Bockers Celtics basketball, talk some basketball. All right, it's the off season, so the story of the off season, at least for the Knicks, is the second apron. You know about?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty aware of.
Oh, that's right, I forgot.
I'm pretty aware of the second apron with what my team has been doing this offseason. It's pretty much yeah. I mean, this whole Jaylen Brown trade from the Celtics to the Sixers is, I mean, really all about the second apron, and not having a second guy that you feel comfortable paying $60 or $65 million a year.
Yeah, because I looked up, because for this episode I wanted to learn the rules of the second apron.
Yeah.
And there were so many. It is a hard salary cap.
Yeah, no, it effectively is, because again, I don't know all the rules of it either, but basically it pretty much cripples you in terms of being able to trade other picks or being able to sign certain types of players. So it really makes it hard to do any other meaningful transactions to make your team better if you're, past the second apron. And obviously with Jaylen Brown, there was some, team chemistry issues as well, but it definitely seems like the financials were a part of the reason the Celtics were looking to deal him, but also part of the reason why it was hard to find a trade partner.
Yeah.
Because I think people were they're like, he's a really good player, but that's a big salary. I don't know if we're willing to take that on. And that's why I think part of the reason why they ended up making such a terrible, awful trade that you can't justify in any way.
Wait, PG-13. He resurrected himself until they played the Knicks in the playoffs.
He and Embiid had 3 good games, and they were all against the Celtics. And no, I mean, this would have been a controversial trade if they had traded Jaylen Brown for Paul George 5 years ago. Now it's indefensible.
Yeah, because there's, like you said, the second apron and everything. You really got it on the margins and everything. You got to draft well. And I did hear, because I listened to Bill Simmons, that is it Hugo Gonzalez, he's always pumping up or whatever.
Yeah.
He finally had a good summer league game and scored 28.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's always pumping up.
Were you because a lot of people in Boston were actually very angry and everything. Were you pissed off at the trade, or you understood it?
No, I didn't understand it then. I don't understand it now. I remember, I saw it when it came across my Instagram, and it was one of those things. It was whatever I was doing. It was like a busy day, and I was doing other stuff, and it was just one of those where you're like, "Oh, this is upsetting, but I'm gonna have to deal with this later." And I just kind of had to put it to the side because I'm like, I can't even understand. This doesn't, because it was one of those trades where you look at the trade and you're like, well, there must be something else in the trade. They must have missed something, because otherwise this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but they thought, at least Bill Simmons thought, there was going to be another
trade coming.
Was it Trey Murphy in New Orleans
or
something
like that? But at least so far, I mean, it doesn't mean there couldn't be something else coming, but at least there hasn't been so far. But also the whole second apron thing that makes it frustrating is that Paul George also makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
So he's not making that much less money.
Yeah, but one less year, right?
It's one less year, which is a thing. But it's like, if you're like, oh, we were getting rid of salary, it's like, well, you traded for a guy who's also making a ton of money. As worse.
Has Brown ever invited you on his Twitch or whatever they do?
I mean, if Jason Tatum can't get on,
that's right. They were supposed to have a powwow or whatever.
That was a big pre-trade controversy. in Boston.
And weren't they both in like France or something and never saw each other?
Yeah, they were both in Paris and didn't meet
Paris, yeah. France is a big country, so
Yeah.
Paris.
No. They were both there. Tatum was supposed to go on his Twitch stream and never did. This was a lot of big gossip in the Boston sports world that like where people kind of saw this trade, not this trade, but a trade might be coming. Because they're like, oh, I don't think this is good. I don't know if these guys get along. They're both in Paris and they're not even seeing each other. Won't even go on his Twitch stream. And then all of a sudden, it's like Jalen's Twitch stream is just like it's like the biggest thing in entertainment. They're like, whoa, he didn't invite you on the Twitch stream. This is. So it all of a sudden became the marker of are you important? Do you get invited to Jalen's Twitch stream? But
see, I'm a Knicks fan, but my brother and father were Celtics fans.
Really?
So yeah, I'm used to dealing with you guys now.
Wait, so how did this happen where you have a split family?
Well, see, my dad grew up in New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
And my brother followed him, but I fell in love with the city of New York. We had WWR with the Mets growing up in the 80s. And I love the colors orange and blue, and I just started being the Knicks fan.
Oh, okay,
I always had a fascination with New York, so.
Oh, okay.
And I just became a Knicks fan, and I grew up in teenage years in the 90s. It was great times for me.
That was a good time to be a Knicks fan.
Yeah. Are you a Red Sox fan as well?
Yep.
No, because there was something going around, like maybe, why am I blanking on, who run? Brad Stevens.
Oh, yeah.
He traded Jaylen Brown, and then the Red Sox went on like a 14-game winning streak.
Their winning streak. It just got snapped.
Yeah,
yesterday,
I grew up outside of Baltimore, so I have family that are Oriole fans, and they snapped the streak. They were taunting my brother.
Yeah. No, but it was a 15-game winning streak. It tied their longest winning streak ever. Back in 1946 was the other time they won 15 games in a row. But they've never.
Was that the 400 for Ted Williams? Was that 46?
That was in 1941, but 46 was they did make the World Series.
I knew there was
year.
something with Ted because my dad is a huge Ted Williams fan.
Yeah,
it's a splendid splinter.
Yeah, no, 46 they made the World Series. I think that was the famous Enos Slaughter play, that the mad dash home. He got.
Did he spikes up or something?
I think it was one of those things. He ran all the way from first on a play that he shouldn't have been able to get from first to home, and that was like a big play that caused the Red Sox to lose the World Series. It's one of those things, especially pre-2004, if you were a kid growing up in Boston or a kid who was a Red Sox fan, you knew all of the stories of all of the ways that they lost all of these big games growing up, even if it was going back to 1946.
Because my dad, he was so scarred. The Red Sox won, 4 titles since 2004 or something?
Yeah,
He'd still be like, I can't watch. I'm too nervous. They'll never. I'm like, you've won 4 freaking titles. I'm like, I was getting mad because the Mets haven't won. I'm a Mets fan. Haven't won since '86.
86.
I don't mean to bring that up. No, I just realized who I was talking to.
You just realized who you were talking. Well, no, that's the crazy thing about that Mets thing is like growing up in near Boston in the '86. I always just learned about that and digested that as like this massive Red Sox choke and failure, not even thinking about any of the Mets side of it. It was only like years later that I kind of learned the story of the 1986 Mets and like understanding and learning about that team and learning about what a cool, fun, interesting...
Oh, you mean because like the outfielders are picking out ladies they want to... Let's say have a good time with after the game in the stands.
I mean all the
cocaine,
all the cocaine, all the drugs, like just the way they were living, the vibe they had. It was just like a classic, like lightning in a bottle, but like too good to last type of thing. Like there's no way, like you just like keeping the train on the tracks with that sort of team. Like it's just, and of course it it all fell apart in terms of like a lot of their personal lives and everything. You can't live like that forever. But I didn't even know anything about that. Like to me, that was just this giant Red Sox choke. Like the Mets just were there for it. But it was only years later that I learned about the Mets side of it, because the Red Sox side of it in terms of the choke was just so overwhelming. Yeah,
because I was 5 at that, because 86. So I didn't know any. I really became like a Mets fan in the late 80s, but I knew the Red Sox lost because my brother was crying.
Yeah. I mean, that's still, I think that's the biggest, at least in American sports history. I can't speak for around the world. I think it's the biggest choke of all time.
I thought it was England against Argentina a couple weeks ago or whatever.
I mean, that's close. I think.
Well, they didn't choke. They just turtled up.
No,
or whatever.
There is a lot of parallels to that though, because that was, 1986, that was game 6, and then this was the semifinals of the World Cup. So it was the game before the last game. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because nobody realizes, didn't game 7 get rained out? They had to postpone it a day or something because of rain?
I forget.
How the heck did we get on? This is a basketball final.
No. I forget if it got postponed, but it was one of those where I just know because of how they lost that game, like, they're just, the vibes going into game 7, like, they
There's
just didn't
no
show
way.
up. They just didn't show up for it. Like, it just.
Well, it reminded me of, because the Spurs, after blowing, what was it, game 4?
Game 4?
Yeah, I was like, there's no way they can bounce back and win game 5,
Yeah. Well, but they actually played a tough game in game 5. Because, I didn't know. I was
because you're talking about, like, the mental drain.
Mentally,
and
like,
everything.
I just, like, well, especially with how close they were. There's some, I forget what the exact stat is, but it's something like, it's either like 14 or 18 pitches that were thrown in that inning where the Red Sox were 1 strike away from winning the World Series.
The funniest thing, so my brother's devastated. He's crying and everything. My dad, I think it was 2 birthdays later or the birthday later, he gave him a book that was titled like 1 Strike Away or something.
Oh my God.
I forget who it was written
by.
My dad is, he wasn't always like aware of stuff. My brother's opened it and was like, what is this?
Oh my God.
I think he started crying again.
Of course he did. Yeah. I mean, but it's, the number of pitches they had where it could have ended quite easily, just with a swing and a miss or a caught looking, or, obviously any ball in play that wasn't out, but it just, there's so many ways it could have ended and it just never did.
Mookie said he would have beaten him to the first base no matter what, even if it didn't go through his legs.
I mean, that's very possible.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if anyone was, what would have been Calvin Schiraldi was running to the bag to cover. I've never really seen that angle of it, but it's very possible because Buckner had famously terrible knees. But also the bigger issue with that was not removing Buckner for a defensive replacement in the later innings.
Who was the manager again? He wanted Buckner to be on the field.
Yeah, he wanted Buckner to be McNamara.
John McNamara.
He wanted Buckner to be on the field when they won the World Series.
You talk about jinxing.
But that was like a classic situation. Oh, you have a lead late in the game. You put in the defensive replacement at first base.
Yeah.
And they just didn't. And but again, because how many people forget when that ball was hit, the game was tied. That wouldn't have won the game if he got to. It would have, prolonged the game, but they wouldn't have won the game. A lot of things happened before that point.
All right, so I'll just say the Knicks, like I said, the second apron really hampered them. So we ended up losing Mitchell Robinson to your beloved Boston Celtics. You like that signing for the Celtics?
I do, because
I'm hoping he's back to being injury prone.
That's the thing. It's I like it because they've been struggling to find a big man for a while. They've struggled, rebounding, especially before. They were a little better once Tatum got back in the lineup, because Tatum's a very good rebounder, but they really struggled rebounding the ball for a lot of the year last year. So
Robinson is like the best offensive rebounder in the league.
So
and you guys, I'm assuming, because you love having those 3-point shooters, he gets a rebound, kicks it out.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm curious to see if I think they'll still play that style to some degree. I'm curious to see if they switch it up.
Well, because Stevens in his post, he was like, I didn't like the way we play, or whatever he said. You know it better than me.
No, but he said something to that extent of like, oh, we have to kind of think about how we're playing. We might have to play a slightly different style. So I don't know what that's going to look like going, but obviously they will kind of have to, because Jaylen Brown's not on the team anymore. So it's going to be different in some ways.
The Knicks ended up bringing back Alvarado for 3 years, $14 million. They brought Shamet back for 4 years, $24 million. Most people are thinking he'd get 8 to 10 a year. So it's a heck of a deal, $6 million a year. The only thing I'm scared about him, he's been around the league a lot. Maybe he regresses back, but he was a superstar in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's one of those guys where it's very likely that he doesn't repeat that same level of performance, especially that you saw in the playoffs. Because at one point,
What was shooting 80%
for
downtown?
three? Yeah, it was like just totally unsustainable. I mean, it's talking about unsustainable 3-point shooting. You're gonna have it with Paul George. He was shooting like 60% against us in the playoffs last year. I don't think he's gonna keep that up next year.
I just love it because once again, Bill Simmons, he was taunting he was like, "Yeah, bring back Embiid," and then Embiid had like that one good game.
Yeah, no, Embiid's game 5. He was incredible in that game. Which again, if he didn't play that, we could have won it in 5, but that didn't happen.
Like I said, they lost. We lost Mitch to the Celtics. 3 years, $47.4 million. Huckporty, who actually played a little in the finals because of all the foul trouble with Cat and Mitch, he signed with the Sixers, so they got another. He was our third string center. The Knicks replaced. They obviously needed a couple centers. They signed Andre Drummond for, let me look, 1 year, $3.9 million. I've always liked Drummond, and he's a good rebounder too. The reason I like him is because he runs like Shaggy. Have you ever noticed? So if you watch him, he's like hunched over and like running. I can't stop looking at him.
Yeah, I like that side too because also he's. At this point in his career, that's just a flyer. If you get, $3.9 million is nothing. If you get anything out of him, that's great. And also saw last year he was able to shoot some threes from the corner.
That's right. Yeah.
So if he has a corner three that you have to defend, that's even if he doesn't shoot that much. If people think that he might shoot from there, then they have to defend you totally differently. So, and if he can give you a little bit of rebounding off the bench when you need him, even if he's only playing 5-10 minutes a game. You don't need to get a lot out of him to make that contract worth it.
So what you're saying is he's not going to shoot 80% from downtown?
No. No, I don't think so.
No, but also Mitch addressed why he got the finger issue. Remember after the Eastern Conference Finals, he said he posted on Facebook or somewhere. He said he thought his brother was like deceased or something. I don't know if you saw this. Ooh. And he was so upset. Because when he FaceTimed his brother, I think he had a neck brace on because he got in a car accident or something. Oh. So he slammed his hand and it broke the knuckle or whatever happened. So he addressed that because we're all like, what? How did he break his hand? Like celebrating? Yeah,
this is a class. This was going to go down. And because there's a classic like sports hall of fame for like dumb injuries.
Gus Frerotte. Remember that?
Gus Frerotte headbutting the wall when it was not padded and it was just cement. That was not great. But they're like classic baseball.
Oh, wait, I'm thinking the Knicks. Was it Stoudemire or somebody broke a mirror in the locker room or something with his fists? I forget who it was. It was.
That's possible. I know one of the famous ones, at least basketball-wise, that happened. This I wouldn't more classify as a dumb injury, but it just out of frustration was LeBron after Game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals against the Warriors, that game where he scored 50 points and went to the J.R. Smith game. It goes to overtime and they lose. Apparently he punched something in the locker room or something, and it just kind of compromised him for the rest of the rest of the series. They weren't winning that series anyway.
I was just about to say that.
But there are a lot of the ones in baseball. Like I think one time, I think John Smoltz one time burned himself with an iron because he tried to iron his shirt while he was still wearing it.
I think I remember that one. There was another, I think it was
Wade Boggs had one, I think. That was a dumb household injury.
I remember I think there was a Colorado Rocky that brought home a deer he had just shot, and he was carrying it down the stairs or something and broke his ankle or something. Because every time that list comes up, it's like dumbest sports injuries or whatever. Yeah. It's just like, I love those.
Yeah, the one that in baseball that I think changed a lot of stuff was Kendry Morales for the Angels. He hit, I think it was a walk-off grand slam.
I remember that.
And then in celebration, he did what a lot of people did at the time, which was you're heading home, everybody's gather around home plate, and you do the big jump and you land on home plate, and he tore his ACL or something on the landing, and was out for the season or whatever. And ever since then, if you notice, on walk-off home runs, when people go, they just run straight home. They don't jump. They just run straight into the base and just step on it. They don't do the big jump. Everyone used to do the big jump, but after he got injured, people stopped doing that.
Now you're reminded me of a sad moment for me. World Baseball Classic, Edwin Diaz celebrating after the Puerto Rican win or whatever, out for the season.
Yeah, that was.
Also, I'm now thinking of, was it Martin or it was Martin?
Oh, Martin Gramatica.
Yeah,
yes, was celebrating the field goal.
Was his brother Bill or something?
His brother was Bill, but I think the injury was Martine.
Yeah, with the Giants, right?
No,
Falcons
I think it was with the Buccaneers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think so. I mean,
Yeah, because he
for a few
used to
teams.
really celebrate.
Yeah, he was primarily played for the Buccaneers. I think Bill played for the Cardinals.
Yeah, all right, good. Yeah, you're the brains of this operation because I just throw a name out there.
Double check on that, but I think that injury was when he was with. But that was like part of what he was known for was just really over the top celebration. Like it would be like 6-3 in the second quarter, and he just run and do a fist pump and like jump up, and it was just kind of like what he did. But then it came back to bite him on that one.
Also, Ewing joined the Wizards coaching staff, so I was happy for old Pat.
Oh, okay.
And also, Brunson had wrist surgery, so that adds to his legend that he was playing through that pain and had such a magical run.
Yeah, because I had heard that it was his non-shooting wrist, right? It was his right wrist.
You caught me. I should have looked it up.
No,
I think it was on the follow through.
Oh, really? So it was on the left. It was the
I
left
think
wrist.
so, but let's just say it was on his shooting hand to make it even more impressive.
I mean, still,
I should have looked it up. I forgot you have two wrists.
Which wrist was it? No, either way, super impressive. I mean, to do what he did anyway, even if he was fully healthy, but also he clearly was not healthy because he's got his ankle stepped on like multiple times and all that.
Yeah, and they brought Clarkson back for 1 year, $3.9 million. So we brought pretty much everybody back. I think 9 out of 10.
Yeah, everyone except for Mitch.
Yeah, and they signed Mose Cisse. Yeah, hopefully I'm from the Mavericks to he was a restricted free agent, but the Mavericks ended up matching it. But
okay,
he would have been a nice center option, like a young center. And the Knicks. It was a 2-year contract. The Knicks went 1-4 in summer league. I'm a big summer league guy. I want to win. We made it to the championship game a few years ago. Against the Blazers. I just want to. I bought I don't usually buy championship shirts. I bought this one for the Knicks this year.
Sure.
I just want to buy one of those summer league championship shirts.
Yeah.
When I saw they were selling them, I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
I mean, I feel like you're getting a little bit greedy. NBA Finals champion, NBA Cup champion. You also want Summer League.
I made a video. I want it all, baby.
You can't have all the trophies. You gotta leave some for everybody else.
Yeah, the Warriors ended up winning it. The Knicks, I thought they were going to have a better showing because Dadier was playing and my boy Mo Diawara. He actually re-signed too. I think it was. I'm not going to say the numbers because I forgot to write it down, but I loved him. And I thought we had some guys with NBA experience. We don't beef up and win the title.
That coveted Summer League title.
Yeah, Tyler Nickel showed off his range and everything.
Sure.
So a lot of these guys, I think, because of the vaunted second apron, they have to sign 2-way contracts or something. I was trying to figure it out, but you have to be
it's very complicated.
Yeah, you have to be. Who was the guy in the wheelchair that was so brilliant?
Oh, Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, you have to be him. We don't need to talk about other things about Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, Stephen Hawking and numbers. That's
no island talk with him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we're talking about Stephen Hawking. We're going to be talking about big numbers, okay? Big numbers. All the numbers are going to be over 18. That's
there we go. I like that. So also the draft happened. The Knicks. Do you follow college basketball at all?
a little bit, not too much, but I followed this year's draft a little bit.
Yeah, because AJ. See, I grew up between Baltimore and DC.
Oh, okay.
One of my nephews and his father, my brother-in-law, are huge Wizards fans. So I paid attention. They actually want to start a podcast called Why Am I a Wizards Fan?
Oh, okay. No, well, you could franchise this whole thing with every NBA team.
No, because they haven't won 50 games since 78 or something.
That's one of the teams, not even just looking at the NBA, if you're just looking at any team in American sports, it's one of the saddest history. If you're just, they do have the title in 78.
Yeah.
But if you're limiting it to the last 45 years or so, I think since then, since that title, I don't think they've made a conference finals since that title.
Yeah, because Wall got eliminated. That was the final?
Because
Wall and Beal or whatever.
1 year they played the Celtics in the second round. I think it was 2017.
Yeah,
and I think that's as far as they've ever gotten since that.
Who was the backup center that killed them? Oh, for the Celtics,
he Kelly Olynyk?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I just was picturing.
He had a big game in Game 7. Yeah,
that's hilarious. But yeah, I'm gonna clip part of this and send it to him. Like,
Yeah.
But I was paying attention, and the Knicks, they were trading for second round picks, cash considerations, because once again, the second apron.
Yeah.
So next question, you've been a Celtics fan your whole life, and you grew up in the Boston area?
Yeah, I grew up in Massachusetts in the suburbs about 45 minutes west of Boston. It's a small town called Hopkinton, which is it's best known for being where the Boston Marathon starts.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
This is sad now. The bombing was at the end, right?
No, yeah. So the bombing was at the end
No.
in Boston.
No,
So
because
it
I
was
couldn't remember was it the end or beginning.
it was at the end. So when I was
Is that near Springfield where you grew up? Because
no, so I grew up about 45 minutes west of Boston, but then in the end of middle school and high school, I lived in Western Mass, closer to Springfield in a town called Northampton, which is near, like, close to UMass Amherst.
well, because when I graduated high school and I wanted to search sports management programs. I took a trip up to UMass because I guess it's still the same. They have a great sports management program.
Yeah, they do.
Beautiful campus. Went to the Hall of Fame and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming you've been to the Hall of Fame a few
I've
times.
I've been to the Hall of Fame, but yeah, I lived not too far from there during high school, but that's kind of the other side of the state from where I grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who are your favorite players growing up? Like Paul Pierce or something?
Well, so when I first started following the Celtics, that was basically like Paul Pierce's like first or second year, but the team basically at that time when I started following them was like Paul Pierce and Antoine Walker.
Yeah.
Those were the big guys, and they like right after I started following them, they traded away Ron Mercer. I don't know if you.
That's a name.
I don't know if you remember Ron Mercer.
I do. Kentucky.
Yeah. No, because they had a lot of Kentucky guys because they had Antoine as
that's
well.
right. Yeah.
And then later, a couple of years later, they traded for Tony Delk.
Oh yeah.
So
and they got rid of Billups during that time, right?
Yeah, so they traded Billups away kind of right before I started following the team because they traded Billups away during his rookie year after like 50 games.
Was that to Denver or something?
I think it would. Oh, could have been.
Was it Minnesota? I don't know. No.
It could have been Toronto.
Yeah.
I would actually have to check who they traded him to because that was like a year or two before I was following them.
Yeah.
Because I was still I think when they traded away Billups, I was probably like 7 or 8.
So when you really started like following them, was that the back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals against the Nets?
Well, so the Celtics only went to one.
I thought they went back-to-back.
No,
years.
they went to one in 2002. But yeah, that was I started following them probably like around 99, around like the lockout season. That was when I started following. They were back. I started following them when Pitino was still the coach.
Oh yeah.
And that was a disaster, the Rick Pitino era. And
did you ever get to a game at the original Boston Garden, or you were probably too young, right?
No, I didn't. Because
did
that closed in like the mid '90s. So I definitely didn't.
No, I did a tour with my dad and mom. It's such a legendary venue.
Sure.
And the new one I've been a couple times, and it's nice and everything. But I'm sure you've been a few times. Or?
I actually, the funny thing is, I actually don't know if I've been for a game. I've been for like other events.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things where, especially when we grow up in Boston, it's like a lot of times, especially this is more of an issue, especially for like the Red Sox, because Fenway Park is so small compared to a lot of other stadiums, and the Red Sox had this long sellout streak for years and years and years. It was almost impossible to get tickets to Fenway Park. So if you wanted to see the Red Sox, it was better to see them on the road.
Oh yeah, because they call Camden Yards Fenway South.
Yeah,
and everything.
So like I used to go, I would see them either at Camden Yards, or I would see them in Tampa, or I'd see them somewhere else. Because it was just hard to get Red Sox tickets, and similarly, like once the Celtics got good, a little harder to get Celtics tickets if you weren't like in the
TD Garden. I call it the fake Garden. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It only holds 18,000 or something. It's not.
Yeah, it's not the biggest. And also when I was first started following the Celtics, it was called the Fleet Center.
Oh yeah.
It was called the Fleet Center back then, and then
I've been 1 year when we played in the first round with Carmelo. I think tickets were so cheap because it was game 4 and the Knicks were going for the sweep or something.
Oh yeah.
I took a bus up there and went to a playoff game, and as long as
it
you
was
don't
2013.
It probably because that's when I was like at my
that was the high water mark of the Carmelo era.
And then I think we got beat by was it Roy Hibbert the next round or what?
Well, yeah, because that was the year because Jason Kidd was on that team, right? That was Jason Kidd's last year in the NBA.
Yeah, I think it was Rasheed on that team. Once again, I reference this every podcast. I've had 4 strokes, so I forget half this stuff.
Yeah, I can't believe Rasheed Wallace was still in the NBA at that time because he was washed up on the Celtics 3 years before.
I forgot. And you had Shaq too.
Yeah, we had last year of Shaq.
Yeah, because I just saw on Instagram like they were going over players' first year points to last year point, and they had because that was Shaq's last year or was Phoenix?
It was his last year, 2010, 2011. That was his last year.
His rookie year with Orlando was like 22 points, and then like 9 points with the Celtics or something. I remember when he signed with the Celtics. Did he go to? I think he went to Faneuil Hall. Is there like a thinking statue or something like a fake one, or maybe he was just sitting there. Not moving as a gag. Yeah. I just remember seeing him and people walking because he's massive, obviously.
No, he's huge. Well, no, and that was a weird one for me though. It never like it was whatever. It was the end of his career, but it never felt right having Shaq in a Celtics uniform. It just.
Well, I mean, because his heydays with the Lakers,
right? Just with the long history with the Lakers, and it was one of those things. It just never visually looked right.
Yeah. That green did not sit
no,
well
it did not suit him. It was not a good color. Not a good color for him. But yeah.
So who is your favorite player of all time then?
Favorite Celtics player of all time? Let's see. Of the players that I
can include like watched. Tatum and everybody. You know?
This is tough because it's because I really enjoyed that early.
If you say Stephon Marbury, I'm gonna get mad.
No, I wouldn't say Stephon Marbury. And I could probably tell you who my least favorite.
Oh, was. All right, let's go that way then.
I think this would be for a lot of Celtics fans, Kyrie Irving.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Self-explanatory.
Yeah, we were by the end of the second year, we were done with Kyrie. It was just and he didn't want to be there either. But he became so toxic. It was. That's an easier question for me to answer, but I mean,
let's go with that one. But then maybe you can answer this one. What's your favorite memory as a Celtics fan?
Oh,
is it the title a couple years ago?
Favorite memory as a Celtics fan? It's probably. Let's see. I mean, honestly, because they were so bad the first few years that I was following them in the late 90s and the very early 2000s. Them even just making that run to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2002 and they had this one game, I think it was game 4. It was either game 3 or game 4 against the Nets where they had like a 21-point fourth quarter comeback or something. It was this crazy comeback. That was really exciting. But then after that, I mean, it's probably you got to go to 08. I think 08 was more thrilling for me than 24 was.
Oh, well, because you're younger.
Because I was younger. But
also, if that comeback was at 02 or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you said you were like 6 in the mid-90s, so you're like 11 or 12.
I was 12 when that.
Oh, that's like for memories and excitability of being a fan. Those are the best years. So I understand why that might rank.
But then 08, them, especially the beating the Lakers and having that 24-point comeback, which was the biggest comeback in finals history until the Knicks broke it.
Yeah, I was going to say who broke it.
Yeah. What's the biggest one now? That was pretty thrilling. I mean, I think it was a couple years later, losing to the Lakers in Game 7 in 2010. Which it's hard to explain to people now how big the Kendrick Perkins injury was.
Because I keep saying, I listen to Bill Simmons. He's still bringing that up.
No, because it's like one of those things now obviously people know Kendrick Perkins as a crazy talking head.
Yeah.
And I'm
glad you said crazy.
Crazy talking head. But before they knew him as a crazy talking head, they just knew him as a joke end of the bench guy on like Cleveland or OKC who it just was totally washed up and did nothing. So then back then, if you told people like, oh man, the Celtics lost Game 7 because they didn't have Kendrick Perkins, people be like, really, Kendrick Perkins? Like, no, he was a big part of that team. He was our starting center.
We might, the Knicks, as we were talking about with backup centers, we might need to bring him out of retirement this year.
Maybe.
Hopefully he does the minimum.
But he was our biggest, because, if anybody remembers that game at all, we got torched by Pau Gasol.
Oh,
in
no,
Game 7,
yeah,
and
because he was the MVP, right? No?
he should have been, but Kobe got it because he was Kobe. But
I'm not a fan of Kobe either.
But this is something that even a lot of Celtics fans say, like, Pau Gasol was the best, especially in Game 7. Pau Gasol was the best. I mean, Kobe went 6 for 24 in that.
Oh, that's
that
right.
Game.
It was that did Artest hit a game winner or something? Or
He
was
hit
that
a big 3 at the end there, and then in the
Another
post-game
former Knick.
interview, he thanked his psychiatrist, which
Oh wait, Meta World Peace.
that was really insult to injuries that we had Rasheed Wallace out there again because we didn't have Kendrick Perkins. We had a washed up Rasheed Wallace, and then Meta World Peace, who's never been able to shoot threes in his life. I think he might have banked it home too. It was an ugly shot. And it was one of those games. It was a classic, old school, low scoring Game 7. Final score was like 83-79 or something like that. And
Takes
the Celtics
me back to my childhood, the '90s basketball.
And the Celtics were up by like 13 in that game, which now when we've seen all these comebacks the Knicks make, 13 doesn't sound like a lot, but when the winning score is in the low 80s, 13 is a huge lead.
Yeah, if I could do it, we need Stephen Hawking to do the percentage,
right?
Man.
but when nobody's scoring points, 13 seemed like wow. How are we going to lose this game? We're up by 13 points, but obviously we did.
Yeah. So because I just realized you got an interesting backstory with the NBA. So you worked with the NBA in China.
Yes. I worked for the NBA in China for about 5 years. I was primarily helping them to develop and operate some NBA-themed children's play zones in China.
Cool, yeah.
So basically like basketball-themed indoor playgrounds that we would open up in shopping malls.
Yeah, because I mentioned Marbury earlier. He has a statue. Is it in Shanghai?
In Beijing. So
because I know the Shanghai Sharks. Who are his Beijing?
The Beijing Ducks.
Oh, cool.
So he played for the Beijing Ducks, and I think he won 3 championships with them.
And he's like a legend over there, right? Does he speak Mandarin or Cantonese?
I don't know how much Mandarin he learned while he was there. I mean, either way, I don't think he really needs it. I mean, people know he. But I mean, as a result,
I heard when a black guy in China kind of sticks out.
Yeah, they do for sure.
So was that a lot of fun and everything?
Yeah, I mean, working for them was a fun time. I mean, I got to meet a lot of players when they came over.
Because obviously you speak Mandarin.
Yeah.
Did you already spoke Mandarin or did you learn it when you went over there?
Yeah, so I already spoke Mandarin. I started learning it in college, and I did a study abroad in Beijing, like for a semester my junior year, and we did like an immersion program where we had to sign a contract saying we would only speak Mandarin 24 hours a day.
Yeah, because I think I may have told this story before. One of my good friends was English as a second language instructor here in New York.
Okay.
And he said they'd go back to their neighborhood and never speak English. If you really want to learn English when you're over here, you got to go to like Nebraska or something. You got to immerse yourself.
Yeah, you got to go. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to go somewhere where you can't speak your language, and that was kind of what we did. Where as I said, we had to sign a contract saying I will only speak Mandarin 24 hours a day the whole semester.
So what if you said hello, they kick you out?
I mean, they give you a warning. So I mean, this literally happened to me because we had to speak Mandarin in class the whole time, obviously.
Well, that makes sense.
But then if we were in the dining hall, we had to speak Mandarin. If we were in the dorm room, we had to speak Mandarin. But even if we were out in the city by ourselves, we had to honor the pledge. I mean, obviously, they wouldn't necessarily know. But if you're...
okay. So you could get away with it.
Well, so what happened was different groups of different people.
So if somebody cut you off in traffic and you let out an F-bomb, you could do that.
Well, you can do that, but then you got to learn how to do that in Chinese too.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Important. But what would often happen is because there were different groups of people, I think, on the program who took the language pledge more or less seriously, and some of the people who took it more seriously tend to hung out with each other. And the people who took it, less seriously maybe hung out with each other a little bit. So what would often happen at the times when I went out with people is at the start of the night, we'd be going out, we'd all be speaking Mandarin. And then we'd be having dinner, we'd be having some drinks. Then someone would sneak in an English word or two, and that would kind of break the ice. And then it would be an English word or 2 or 3. Then all of a sudden, half a sentence is in English. And then all of a sudden, it tips to the point where, like, people start having conversations. Like, some people are saying full sentences in English, and then some people are like still holding on to the Chinese. They're responding in Chinese even though people are responding in English. And eventually the conversations get so complex and so quick that you surrender and you give up.
So while you were over there, is that how the NBA, like, you saw an ad for the job, or how did you get this job?
No, so I came back from my study abroad program. I finished college, and then a couple years after college, I got a job working for a real estate developer in Shanghai. That was my first job in Shanghai.
Oh,
that was
cool.
what caused me to move there. I was working for a real estate developer, but that didn't last very long because the Chinese real estate market very
Yeah, I've heard.
unstable.
Yeah, yeah.
And that job went away pretty quickly. But after that, I was able to find this job working for the NBA. And the way that happened was there was this guy that I knew who was like a headhunter, who his specialty was placing like bilingual foreigners in jobs
Cool.
in China. And I had met him like once before in New York, like maybe 3 years earlier. Just met him once, had like lunch with him or whatever. And I was in the process of starting another job at like a real estate consultancy in Shanghai. I had already like signed the contract, and I was getting ready to start there in like less than a week. And I get an email from this guy being like, hey, I got this job opportunity and you're the first person I thought of. And he didn't even know I was looking for a job. And I kind of reached out back. I'm like, oh, thanks. But, I'm just about to start another job, so it's not really a good time. And he's like, well, let's have a call. Let's talk about it. So we had a call that day, and he tells me that the job is with the NBA. And I'm like, oh, my God, you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've been a big sports fan. I wanted to work in China, and I've always wanted to work in sports. So working for the NBA in China.
I like that convolute or whatever the word term is.
Yeah, the confluence.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. You're like, it's the convoluted of things.
Yeah, I almost said that.
No, but it was just everything coming together. And I was like, wow, this sounds like a dream job. But then I'm like, I'm starting this job on Monday. I'm like, how quickly could you get me through this interview process to do this job? And he's like, I could get you through the whole process in 2 weeks. So what I did was I made up an excuse with this other job why I needed to delay my start date by 2 weeks. I was like, I need to see some family before I start the job or whatever. I made something up. So I'm
going to cut this and send it to that company.
Right.
They'll be like, wait, you lied.
Well, so then I go through 3 rounds of interviews. The first round is with the guy who would eventually just become my future like supervisor or boss. It was just like a lunch meeting. And, we just chatted, and he liked me enough where he was like, okay, let's give you a second round interview. The second round interview was with HR. That one was 100% in Mandarin, that round. And then they liked me enough where they put me through to the third round interview, which was with the number 2 at NBA China, like basically the executive vice president, like, number 2 behind the CEO at NBA China. And so that interview was probably like 65% Chinese, 35% English. And then after that, they offered me the job. And so I basically just didn't show up for my first day at the other job. But the irony of that is the other job that wanted to hire me was like a real estate like research role at Jones Lang LaSalle, or JLL, like the big real estate consultancy. And I had applied for basically that same job or a very similar job, like basically a year before, when I was still like in the States, but trying to figure out where I was going to go, if I was going to go to China. And I had like a first round interview, like over Skype or something, that went well. And then the second round interview was with their like head of Asia or research or whatever. And it was at the Carnegie Deli. That was where the interview was.
Now I'm going to cry because that's no longer here,
I know,
right?
It's no longer there. And that's my only time ever going to the Carnegie Deli, but I couldn't eat anything because I was getting interviewed for a job.
You didn't want one of those sandwiches?
You can't be eating like a giant sandwich.
I'm really hungry.
You can't eat anything, so that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But the other thing was, it was a real estate interview, so I was prepared with like real estate stuff. And I go on this interview with this guy, and it basically turns into like a consulting style interview. Like, I don't know if anyone's familiar with consulting interviews, they give you like these things that are called cases. They're basically like these big like problem solving, things that, problems that they give you, but it's a very specific type of interview. And if you're regularly interviewing for consulting, you practice these cases.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Because it's like, they're difficult, and you got to be in the rhythm of doing stuff like this to be good at those interviews.
So you had no idea. And
so
you were
I just had not prepared at all for that. I was not in the mode of doing that at that point in time. It just wasn't prepared, and just the interview went awful. Like, it was terrible, and I was like, oh man, I'm never going to get another job. It was like one of these things. But then a year later, when I'm already in China and I'm looking for another job, basically this same role is up. This real estate, research role at JLL in Shanghai is up. But the thing is, now that head of Asia research or whatever, he had moved to another company. He'd moved to like BlackRock or something. So he was no longer there. So now the top guy to interview me was the first guy who liked me. So he was the one who offered me the job. But then I turned them down.
Oh, yeah, I like it.
A year after they turned me down. So
That's like the dream scenario when you ask a girl out, she turns you down, then she comes back, and you're like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. But no, that is exactly what happened. I turned them down at the last minute after they had rejected me.
So did you go in that role? Did you go to a lot of, is it CBA or CBL games?
So I didn't go to a lot of CBA games just because like NBA and
Chinese Basketball
CBA,
Association or whatever
yeah,
for
yeah,
them.
yeah. So just because the NBA and the CBA are like totally separate from each
Oh,
other.
okay.
So like the NBA, in terms of their corporate structure and everything, like they're different companies. Like sometimes
Are they competing or do they try to help each
they're
other
not
out?
really competing, but they are different companies. So sometimes they might have like interactions, they might have exchanges or things like that. But
so those, when you see like the Lakers go over there for exhibition games, the CBA doesn't do anything?
No, that's not the CBA.
Yeah.
That's the NBA.
All right.
The NBA is putting on those preseason games. The NBA is handling those
because they're
events.
growing their own.
They're growing their own brand. Those are their own teams. Whereas the CBA, we were talking about like the Shanghai Sharks,
Yeah.
the Beijing Ducks. Those are CBA teams. Those are not NBA teams. So the NBA doesn't have like any control over any of that.
And have they? I'm blanking. Have they had regular season NBA games over there?
No, they haven't. No,
Just in Europe, right? Or what are those exhibitions too? I can't even remember.
Usually those are exhibitions too,
like in Paris or something.
But it's one of those things where with the time difference, it's so tough to have have actual, because those preseason games, they happen so early. They usually happened in early October, and then you have a chance to come back, get reacquainted with over jet lag. It gives you a little time.
Before I get to a question about stand-up comedy, I just want to know: have you ever met Yao Ming?
So I never met. I've been in the same like building as him, but I've never like shook his hand or said hi to him or anything. Like I've been at an event where I've been like, seen him be like, oh, that's Yao Ming. He's right there. But I've never met him before.
We talk about Shaq, but he made Shaq look small too. Like he's a big dude.
I mean, I met some big dudes. Probably the biggest dude I met, and RIP was Dikembe Mutombo.
Oh yeah, such a legendary.
When
dude.
I
love we're bringing up all these former Knicks.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember this when I shook Dikembe Mutombo's hand, my hand disappeared. Like I still remember to this day. You're going in and it just gets enveloped. I literally where did it go? I lost my hand inside of his hand.
That's incredible.
Like it's the size of that guy. And the cool thing was, I was able to kind of be there and maintain a conversation with him because one of my colleagues at the time at the NBA was a guy that used to be Yao Ming's translator.
Oh, cool.
When he, his first couple years with the Rockets before he spoke good English.
I just remember because Shaq didn't know I've saw this on Instagram. Didn't know he spoke any English, and he taunted him, or he's like, he taunted Shaq. Shaq was like, "What?" No, or something. He said something.
Yeah. But
maybe it was KG. I can't remember. Another.
Yeah.
I'm sure you like him.
Well, I'm a big fan of KG. Yeah. But Dikembe was on the Rockets at the same time.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yao Ming, so
that was
my colleague.
Was that Van Gundy?
Yeah. That was when Jeff Van Gundy was. Another Knicks guys. Yeah.
Tracy McGrady too, right? Another Knicks, former Knick. Yeah. I was going to games at the Garden when like McGrady and I had season tickets. That's before they priced my ass out. Once they got good, I couldn't afford it anymore.
I feel like Tracy McGrady was like kind of the apex for the Knicks getting the past your prime stars.
I was so excited. I'm like, we got a superstar. And then I was like, he's way past his expiration date.
I feel like the classic example of that was the all-star, the guy who you think is a little better than he is, but you also got to pass his prime was like Antonio McDyess.
Oh, that too. And I'm thinking of Steve Francis.
That's a good. Yeah, it was Francis, and Marbury kind of falls into that category too as well.
Because I'm just now so many memories flooding back about like Knicks that were past their prime. But let's talk some stand-up comedy.
Sure.
What drew or got you into stand-up comedy?
Well, so it actually...
I forgot to say, he is a stand-up comedian.
Yeah. People are shocked. They're like, what? He's not funny at all. How is he a comedian? No, it actually is kind of connected to me working for the NBA. in China. So I started doing stand up in China.
Oh, wow.
While I was living there, and
In English, though.
yeah,
right?
so I was doing it in English, but I did perform occasionally in Mandarin. I've done some Mandarin shows here in New York City as well, because there's a group that runs Mandarin shows.
Yeah, I thought because I run into Chinese comedians and I knew there was a scene or whatever.
Yeah.
And as far as the performing aspect, anybody that does comedy in two different languages, I'm always fascinated because it doesn't translate from what they've told me.
It does not. I almost have none of the same jokes that I do in English versus Mandarin. It's just because it's just very hard to translate them.
Now, how do you do a lot of Mandarin comedy now, or not really?
Not as much. I've gotten a little bit busier. There was a while where I was doing it more often, but I haven't done it in a bit.
Yeah, because I was just gonna ask, like, when you think of a joke, does it come in English first, or?
No, I mean a lot. Yeah, I mean a lot of times with that stuff, it's more of like, I think of especially the Mandarin jokes. Like I think of a subject, and I'm like, this would kind of work for that audience.
Oh, so you kind of shuffle it one way or the other.
Yeah, because it's like I wouldn't really tell this in English, but it is my work for a Chinese audience.
Cool.
Yeah, but I started doing comedy in China. So when I first started working for the NBA. After about a couple months of working there, they had this company event, which is one of those events where like all the different departments get together and they like talk about what they're going to do this fiscal year and all that stuff. And the NBA like wanted to break up that day by like having an employee talent show.
Oh yeah.
And so I was new to the company, so I offered to be in the talent show, but I didn't know what I was going to do. And then someone was like, "Oh, can you do impressions?" And I was like, "Sure." And so I'd never performed before, but I did like a bunch of impressions, and it went well enough where I started doing open mics in Shanghai and Beijing, and then that eventually grew to doing showcases. And then touring around China and then headlining around Asia.
Oh wow, I did not realize that is so cool. When did you start doing like comedy in English then?
I was doing it from the start in English.
Oh, okay, all right. I misinterpreted.
No. I was doing it in China the whole time, but I was doing shows mostly in English. So even when
that talent show you did in English.
Yeah, I did that in English.
Oh,
and
okay.
like when I was doing open mic, most of the open mics I did in Shanghai and Beijing were in English. The showcases I was doing were in English. When I was touring around China and doing shows in the rest of Asia, that was all in English.
Is there a robust stand-up scene over there in English?
So I mean, there was at the time. It's a little bit more limited now because there's been like kind of crackdowns.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
On all of that, but at the time when I started, like the English scene was arguably bigger than the Chinese scene because it was so new. And now like Chinese comedy just like exploded over there because obviously there's much bigger market for it.
Yeah. They got what, 1 billion people?
Yeah. So it was kind of that was very early days, but yeah, there was a really nice scene in Shanghai at that time.
Who are some of the comedians that influence you?
Just in general.
In general.
I mean, I've always been, because it's funny because a lot of people talk about, they're like, oh man, I grew up and I always wanted to try stand up and it just took me years to do it. And like, I, watched it growing up and I was like, oh, I think I should do that. And I never had the guts. It's like, I watched some stand up growing up, but I never thought like, oh, I could do that or I should be doing that.
You're like me then. Yeah.
Yeah. I never occasionally I would watch stand up on like Comedy Central, but I was never like, oh, I'd be really good at that. Or like I'd be made to do that. But I would say Louis really influenced.
I knew you were going to go a Boston comic now.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just because when I kind of was at that age where I was an adult and starting actually to like pay attention to comedy was when he like really blew up.
Yeah.
And and his specials just at that point when he was releasing a special,
it was probably late 90s, early 2000s. I didn't know. I didn't want to be a comedian for years. And I saw some special where he was talking about living in New York and he was dating some girl in Harlem and he didn't know the streets went that high. He's like 120 and he's walking slow. I was blown away by him. I was like, I love this guy.
Yeah. And like as I said, occasionally I would see like stuff on Comedy Central. Because they would have like Comedy Central Presents or Premium Blend. I would see that stuff when I was younger, but then when I was like a young adult, that was kind of when Louis was really starting to blow up. And so I feel like that was maybe my primary like picture in my head of like, oh, this is what a comedian is.
Yeah.
This is what doing comedy looks like. So I feel like he's influenced me a lot in the sense of like when I think of like, oh, this sounds like a joke. And, I'm like thinking of like, sometimes I'm thinking like, what does a Louis joke sound like that I remember from years ago? Or like, what is his cadence or what is his energy or his vibe feel like?
And I'm assuming he's one of your favorites then.
Yeah.
So what's your like process for coming up with material? You just think of something and
Yeah, I mean, for me,
something happens, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like kind of changed over the years because it's I think like at the beginning when I first started doing it, it's just like, okay, you have an idea, you think of it, you write it, you go on stage, and then I feel like early on when you do comedy, you don't understand how much rewriting there is. You just think, oh, you write a joke and it's finished and it's done and you do it and then you move on to the next joke. You don't realize how much rewriting happens, how much people have to practice their jokes. So early on, I feel like...
a new tag or something.
Right. So I feel like early on, I was thinking of an idea and I'd do it on stage and I'd be like, okay, that was fine. I did well. Okay, on to the next joke.
Yeah.
And then it was only later on that I was kind of like, oh, no, almost all the writing is rewriting.
Yeah.
So you think of an idea... and it's probably not going to work the first time on stage, or if it, maybe a little part of it will work, but you got to like trim it, you got to add tags, you got to like, so
you just want that little morsel that you can build around.
So for me, it's usually like that initial idea kind of has to come from some like strike of inspiration. I'm bad at just sitting down and like forcing myself to come up with new ideas.
I don't know how people do that. Something has to happen for me.
Yeah. But what I will say is what I will then do is if I have the idea, and then I've tried it on stage, then when I force myself to sit down is to work on an existing premise or an existing joke and be like, okay, how do we make this joke better? That I feel like I can control and I can sit down and write on, whereas I feel like just thinking of a new idea out of nowhere, that's kind of tough for me.
I don't think that's ever happened where I came up with something, because it's usually something stupid like monkeys eating cheese or something, something like dumb as hell.
Right, you're just doing like word association where you like pick two words and you're like, okay, let's write a joke about
dinosaurs having sex or something.
Yeah, let's write it.
Those may have been actual thoughts that I was like, let me write this. Now there's nothing there.
Let's write a joke about vegan ceiling fans. Okay.
So what has been your most memorable experience on stage or most memorable moment?
Man, this is tough because like there are different moments in like that are milestones that you think about. And at least for me, when I was still in Asia, I wanted to be, when I was there, I wanted to be like a regional headliner in the sense of like I wanted to tour and I wanted to headline around Asia. I wanted to headline outside of China. That was kind of what my initial goal was, because I wanted to be like, okay, if I do stuff in China, that's great, but it's like I want to be bigger than that. I want to be able to tour everywhere, and I want to be able to get booked to headline.
Like Seoul, South Korea.
Yeah, and so for me, like a big place that I always had my eye on was Singapore.
I was when you were talking about Asia, that popped into my head.
Yeah, because there was this it still exists. There's this really great room in Singapore called Comedy Masala.
Oh, cool.
That has a show, a bar show on a Tuesday. It's a bar show, but it's one of the best bar shows in the world. Like when they pack it out, it's a bar, but it's everyone in the bar is there to watch comedy. All the TVs are either turned off or they put the comedian on stage on the TV. And everyone there is watching. So when they pack it out, it's like over 100 people.
Oh, wow.
It's a kill box because it's a bar, but everyone's sitting there watching the show. It's a great vibe. And that was like a room I had my eye on that I was like, man, if I could get booked to headline there, that would be something. And then when, one of the guys I knew who kind of knew the guy who produced that show, he put in a word for me and he's like, hey, I think he's ready to book you.
Oh, wow.
To do Singapore. And I was like, oh, wow. And then once I knew I could get booked to do that, then I was like, oh, if I can get booked to do Singapore, I can headline anywhere in Asia. So then I started reaching out to basically everywhere in Asia that had comedy. And in, the span of a few months, I did Singapore, and then the promoter in Singapore helped me to get in touch with the promoter in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, because they're right next to each other. So I did those the same week. And I did
thinking of the Petronas Towers.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just telling somebody about that.
Exactly, yeah. Then right after that, I did Tokyo and Seoul.
Oh, awesome. Together. I want to visit all these. They're beautiful cities from what I hear. No.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely beautiful. And then I was able to luck into a 5-night run headlining shows in Jakarta, in Indonesia.
Awesome.
did stuff in Taiwan. I was able to, headline.
Taiwan's close to my heart because my dad, when he was in the Air Force, my family before I was born, they lived in Taipei for a few years.
Oh,
I guess
wow.
a few. My mom's gonna kill me for not remembering how long, but this was back when it was like a Vietnam fishing village. Now they have Taipei 101 and everything.
Yeah, no, but Taipei is a beautiful city.
Oh yeah,
It's great. But yeah, I went there. I also headlined in Thailand and Cambodia. Did some shows in Vietnam. Headlined in the Philippines. So I was able to headline, almost everywhere in Asia that had comedy. So I feel very fortunate, and I am also fortunate because I went and crammed a bunch of these shows in 2019, and it was funny because I was doing a lot of these shows. And I was like, man.
So you're the one that brought COVID over here?
Well, I was doing a lot of these shows, and I was like, man, am I touring like?
Did you do Wuhan, eat a fish fry or whatever that?
Well, I did. I did do Wuhan. No, I did the first. I headlined the first comedy show in Wuhan after the city reopened.
Oh, that's awesome. That should be on your resume.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
I used to have it on there, and there actually is a video on YouTube from many years ago. I mean, because I did the video because the city reopened in April of 2020, and I went there in July of 2020, did a show, and I taped it. It was not a great show. But I hired a local film crew to tape it because I'm like, well, this is historic.
Oh, yeah.
I want to just get this show. I just want to get it on tape and have it as just I put it on YouTube as just like a thing of first show in Wuhan since the city reopened, just as a thing.
That's so cool. That blows my mind. That's so cool. I didn't realize you did that. That's awesome.
But yeah, I did that. But
I was just making a stupid
no,
joke.
I know you were making a stupid comment, and I was like, well, actually, funny you say that.
That's hilarious.
But I was like, am I touring too much, doing all these gigs? But then it was just kind of one of those where I'm like, hey, if you can get booked to do it and you can get the time off, do it. You never know if these opportunities are going to come around again. And then, of course, 2020 happens and I can't go anywhere. So I'm like, oh, thank God I did all those gigs when I could.
That's. Do you have any shows coming up that you'd like to promote right now?
Yeah, so it's a little ways off from now, but October 18th, I'm going to be recording a comedy special.
Oh, awesome!
At Comedy Village.
Oh, cool.
At 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. It'll be 2 shows, one night. Yeah, recording a special October 18th. If you want to get tickets to that, the link is in the bio of my Instagram, and my Instagram is Ben Frank Comedy. So if you just go to Ben Frank Comedy on Instagram, the link for the tickets is in the bio.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I'm definitely don't put that in my calendar. I hope I can make it out.
Oh, that would be great.
It's such a And you have other albums out?
Yes, I have.
I don't want to
No worries.
Yeah.
I have a couple of other hours out. I put out a special in 2024 called "Let Me Be Frank."
That's perfect.
Yeah. So that's on YouTube. Again, if you want to find that, the link to that will also be in my link tree on my Instagram. If you want to look that up, and then I also have an audio album that I released before that, a couple years before that. That was called Goodbye Shanghai, which
cool.
I actually recorded. It was one of my farewell shows in Shanghai.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, sorry to step on you
no
a little
worries.
bit. Do you have a name for this special yet?
Because
you're really good at naming these.
Well, I don't have a permanent name yet. I'm thinking at this point, since I did Let Me Be Frank on the last one, this one I might do I've Been Frank, but just BEN.
Oh, okay.
Instead of BEEN.
Well, your name is perfect.
Yeah, no, it's convenient. So it's not final yet, but it's possible it might be I've been Frank.
Yeah, no, this is phenomenal. I loved your names for all these. And my next question was, where can people follow you? You said that already. Ben Frank Comedy.
Yep,
and all that.
Yep, Ben Frank Comedy on Instagram. That's the best place.
Yeah,
I try to post content daily or almost daily.
And as for me, you can find me at St. Mark's Comedy Club Monday at 7:30. I think the show is, and I have the ticket links up in my link tree as well. You can follow me on social media at The Miller Mark on Instagram, at The Miller Mark on X, Miller Mark on Facebook. I'm still doing Facebook. Do you?
Yeah, I still do it. Not well, but I try.
Yeah. What is your YouTube handle?
YouTube handle is the same thing as Ben Frank Comedy.
Yeah, mine's at The Miller Mark. So
yeah.
we try to get some pub for you and everything now.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, the 12th man is in the game, which means this podcast is almost over. I would like to thank Ben for being my guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Oh, this was a lot of fun. I learned so much about you. I should have vetted you about being a Celtics fan, but that's all right.
Yep, big mistake.
I want to thank the Producers Club for recording this episode in their lovely podcast studio. The Producers Club is located at 358 West 44th Street in Manhattan. I can't read my notes. I should know that by now, but check them out at producersclub.com. And finally, a big thank you to Austin back there for producing this episode. You can follow the podcast on IG at Why Am I Knicks Fan, on X at Why Am I Knicks Fan, Facebook fan page, Why Am I Knicks Fan, and you can also email the show, Why Am I Knicks Fan at Outlook.com. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back a couple weeks with another episode. All right, take care, everybody.